And welcome to a new edition of Cruise Control Motoring, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub, and along with me, taking on a ride around the automotive industry, is none other than Les Jackson. Les, how you doing?
Good. Excellent, Fred. It's a good week to be talking about automobiles. Of course, any week is a good one, but this is particularly good.
I would agree. There's a wide variety of stories to get to this week.
Yeah.
And we're going to start off with some good news. If you've ordered a Corvette Grand Sport X, that's 721 horsepower, all-wheel drive, naturally aspirated V8, the first customer cars are rolling off the line. That's got to be an exciting time if you have one ordered, wouldn't you say?
Yes, and I think that just the fact that it's now all-wheel drive is going to attract even more customers.
Also, over at Kia, we're going to talk about pricing on their affordable EV3. It's got 321 miles of range and a starting price under $30,000. Wow, that's pretty good.
That's very good. And apparently, Fred, 1,000 horsepower just isn't enough anymore.
Nope.
That's sad. And Lucid just turned up the wick with 1,070 horsepower, 7-passenger family SUV that is just going to pin everyone in it back to the seat.
That's right. Going to the grocery store won't be the same ever again. Plus, you have a story about Audi trying to keep a 5-cylinder engine around, right?
Yes, that's right. Could a 5-cylinder Golf R actually help save one of Audi's greatest engines? Well, certainly could, because it is a great engine, and putting it in a Golf R would be, I think, a big, it'll draw a lot of enthusiasts.
Yeah, a lot of people say Golf R is not different enough than the GTI. Of course, it's all-wheel drive, but, this would really set it apart with a 5-cylinder engine, extra cylinder. And Ford may be getting ready to take on the Jeep Gladiator with a Bronco pickup truck. A lot of people talking about this. I think it is probably a go.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. And Chrysler says it wants to put 2 new vehicles in showrooms for under $30,000. And anytime anybody does that is a good thing.
Yep, it is. And Toyota has come up with a new, very sophisticated way to determine whether recalled Tundra engines need replacing. It's sort of a talking tech less. They have a very unique way of doing it. It's called hit that engine with a hammer.
This is true.
It's not a joke, no.
That's right. I will explain how this works, and I also have made a promise to Fred that I will not sing if I had a hammer.
Oh, well, that's a promise to all our
that's
listeners
for
and viewers.
Popular demand.
All that and more when we get rolling on this edition of Cruise Control Motoring.
Okay, Fred, it's time to get into a Corvette Grand Sport X with 721 horsepower and all-wheel drive, because let's face it, we both want to drive this thing. And it's just going to corner like a tarantula wearing tennis shoes, and it's just a really exciting product. So there it is. They're already taking orders for it, and
they're rolling off the line.
Don't even want to guess how much the added dealer markup is going to be. But it is starting slow with production ramping up because of the outgoing E-Ray. And what this is basically an E-Ray with a 6.7 liter LS6, naturally aspirated, small block with only 535 horsepower by itself.
That's right.
And then you throw in the electric front motor, and you get 721 modest horsepower.
Modest. You could squeeze by with
Modest.
that. Now,
Yes.
look at the lineup of the C8. It's Stingray,
Yeah.
which is 535 start
Right.
horsepower, Z06, Grand Sport and Grand Sport X, ZR1 and ZR1X. This is I believe, the most variants of any
Yeah.
lineup of
Yeah.
Corvette in a long time. But you and I think that this Grand Sport X will be quite the sweet spot. 721 horsepower. It's got the traditional naturally aspirated 6.7 liter LS6, the brand new engine that puts out 535 horsepower. That goes to the rear wheels. We've got the motor in the front, which, by the way, you don't lose really any storage at all from what I have
No,
heard.
you never know it's there.
And 721 horsepower, 665 pound-feet of torque. And the first ones are coming off the line. They started coming off the line August 17th. So, it's official. It's rolling out. I think this is the one to get. I mean, let's face it, even the Stingray at 535, which is the base model, is not bad at all. But
It's hard to believe.
having that all-wheel drive capability is going to be incredible.
It's just it's a completely all-wheel drive performance car. It's a completely different feel uh, as opposed to just a rear-wheel drive or a front-wheel drive. And yeah, I agree. I think this is the one to buy and save up for it because how many times are you going to buy a Corvette? And it's just it's going to give you everything you want. You can drive it on snow. You can drive it on a track. You drive it to work, um, and drive it to your reunion, your high school reunion, and just refer to it as the Chevy.
Yeah.
Be understated.
I
No, I think
also
this is the one to buy.
I also like it's a naturally aspirated engine. This
Yes,
sounds like the
yes,
good old V8s you're used to. Of
yeah.
course, you have those quiet front drive motors or motor. That really doesn't change the sound much. So yeah, best of both worlds. But let us know in the comments, what would you buy? Would it be a Grand Sport X, or would you want to go up to a ZR1 or ZR1X? Um, Personally, I think 721 horsepower would be plenty for me. I wouldn't need.
It's definitely is a it's adequate. Um,
Thank you. That was
it'll be adequate for the next 10 years,
yes.
and it's just cool. I mean, the whole feel of it will be just so like carved out of a single block, and it's an extension of your arms and legs. This has to be a terrific drive.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's go over to something completely different than that. Kia announced the pricing for their EV3 this week. Their EV3 is their most affordable electric vehicle. It
Yep.
definitely looks like a smaller EV9. They have basically kept the same kind of styling, the blocky styling, which I think is pretty cool. It offers up to 321 miles of all-electric range, and that is in the wind front-wheel drive and land front-wheel drive trims. DC fast charging capability. So prices start for that EV light front-wheel drive at $29,890. This is excluding the
Hmm.
$1,495 destination. And then EV3 Wind front-wheel drive, $34,990. If you want to get into all-wheel drive, it would be the EV Wind all-wheel drive model, $38,690. The EV3 Land front-wheel drive, $38,490. Land all-wheel drive, $41,690. And then you keep going up. It tops out at the EV3 GT all-wheel drive, $45,890. 890. You know these are going to be well equipped. As I said,
Yeah.
they're built-in NACS charge port, so that means you can head over to your local supercharger charging station. The available Nightfall package adds a bold exterior accent, unique 19-inch black wheels, bridge type roof rails, and a dark gray interior. And there are a lot of available features such as 360-degree surround view 4, cold weather ready with standard battery heater, an available heat pump, and available heated front seats and steering wheel. So I'm sure even the base model, we don't have all the details on what the base model of the Light involves, but I'm sure that's probably well equipped. And
Yeah.
you know, you're looking at between $29,890 for front-wheel drive and $38,690 for an all-wheel drive. Kind of answering the need for more cost-effective vehicles. And you and I have
Well,
said
that's right.
maybe
Yeah.
that's where electric vehicles become more affordable at the smaller kind of entry-level range, right?
Yeah, I think so. And it's since you can get them charged anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and you do get a tremendous range. It's reaching certainly in urban areas like mine or yours. It's reaching the convenience level of charging, I think. So you put in the price, and I'm sure, well, you get a lot of stuff, including nav, for your 29.9. But I think if you go up to just the next level, you'll get at least heated seats. I don't have a
Break out of it,
brochure in
no.
front of me, but I think that's the way their other models work. So I think that's going to be the same case, and that's an awful lot for
Yeah,
a comparatively low amount of money.
yeah. I guess you would compare this to the Bolt, the Chevy Bolt.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and even that's pretty well equipped. You can get Super Cruise and things like that. But you know, inexpensive relatively compared to other vehicles these days.
Yeah.
Would you go for the kind of basic model front wheel drive, or would you get all wheel drive?
I'd go front. I don't. I don't feel the need for all-wheel drive in Washington D.C. I'm not climbing the mountains or
Unless it's the Grand Sport X, then you would feel, but
right.
that's a
Well,
different kind of
yes,
all wheel drive.
that exactly.
Hmm.
I'm not towing anything, So it's um, I, now to me, for me, it's not worth spending the extra money. But uh, you get believe me, because I have one, you get an awful lot for your money from Kia.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the next question is, do you get an awful lot for your money from Lucid? And we're going to tell you about the Gravity GTS. Now, this is the most powerful SUV currently offered in America, and it is powerful, 1,070 horsepower, not
Mm.
just 1,000, 1,070. And it was Motor Trend that said this is the most powerful
Well,
three-row SUV offered currently in America. For comparison, the Tesla Model X Plaid produced 1,020 horsepower, while the Rivian R1S Quad produces 1,025 horsepower. Of course, you need all that extra horsepower with this three-row. Lucid claims the Gravity GTS can accelerate from 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds, and it has the ability to carry 7 passenger in 3 rows in
yes.
style. Yeah. What do you
Most of
think?
them screaming if you keep doing 0 to 60 runs, because that's 1, 2, 3. There you are.
That's it. Incredible.
Yeah,
Did you
it
ever
really
think we
is
would
incredible.
see a vehicle like that offered, like as a production vehicle?
As a family vehicle, this is this is just 7 people riding around in a hot rod, which is and a really hot rod.
Absolutely.
I just think that it's first of all, it's exciting that they're doing this. I think that that they are expensive as a product, but I don't think it's that much more expensive. We don't have a price, but good for Lucid. I just it gets them an awful lot of attention.
Yeah.
I see a lot of these things around here.
Yeah, you sure do. And it does look like a rocket ship, the Gravity, even if it's not that high-end GTS version of it. But here's an interesting story. A couple of stories from BMW. BMW is recalling nearly 28,000 cars,
Whoa.
and for some of them, the fix will be adhesive. So, yeah, these are the 5 Series, the 7 Series, and the 8 Series coming from the model years 2021 through 2026. And the problem involves excessive wear where the drive shaft connects to the rear differential. If the connection deteriorates badly enough, it can cause loss of power and potentially create a roll-away risk. Affected models include the BMW 540i, 540i xDrive, M550i, 750e xDrive plug-in hybrid, 840i, and 840i xDrive. And the engines involved include the BMW B58 3-liter turbocharged inline-6 and the N63 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8. So the final problem may relate to a small alignment issue, although BMW didn't really spell that out. So dealers will inspect the drive shaft to differential connection. Depending on what they find, adhesive may be applied to fix the problem. What do you think about
Yeah.
that?
Well, to make this to clarify this a little bit, because I know most of you are thinking as
I'll
I
glue my
would
drive shaft in. Yeah.
that I've got a universal joint back there that's all metal and bolts. What the heck are they gluing? Well, that's not how BMW connects their drive shafts. They have a big rubber disc, heavy um, reinforced rubber with 4 or 6 bolts in it. And of course, it's that rubber that can flex and crack. Actually, the one on my wife's car broke after 100,000 miles. We didn't glue it. I just bought one
Yeah.
and stuck and bolted it in. But so that's what's going on. It's the material which is there for smoothness and also for flexibility.
So for
Um,
vibration
right,
isolation.
right.
Well, here's the thing that would make me not want to be the service manager at a BMW dealership. Some people will get a new drive shaft. Some people will get the
Yeah,
adhesive, depending upon the wear. Like you, I would be like, this is not something to just,
that's
hey,
right.
hey, it's a piece of trim that I could either replace or just glue back together. This is a drive shaft, right? I would really, and they're not cheap
Exactly.
vehicles. I would say, hey, I have an 840i xDrive. I want a new drive shaft. I bought something good, and now it's not working properly, right?
Exactly. Because it's got both where it connects to the differential, but also there's a center one for vibration control. So either one of those could rubber that could crack. I would insist on the drive shaft, or at least insist on, hey, look, if you're unwilling to do it, I'll split the deal with you. I'll pay for half the drive shaft, you pay for the other half, um, because I don't want glue. I don't want gorilla glue
Right.
which it isn't.
But it does
It,
feel that way. Like, yeah, that's fine
no,
if you're in the middle of nowhere and that's all the guy can do to get you back on the road and you'll limp it home. But
sure, sure.
it's not the best way to do it. And I just, as I say, this is not like we're fixing up old bombs here. These are nice vehicles. So
No,
yeah,
no. I insist on a new drive shaft, even if you have to go 50-50 paying for it, because the dealer doesn't want you to come back. He wants you to come back to buy a new BMW, but not to come back angry.
no. Well, I tell you what, M3 buyers won't come back angry because their ignition, their fuel is not igniting in their S58 3-liter twin turbo inline six. BMW introduced a new system adding 6 more spark plugs, so 2 per cylinder. And this engine's used in the M2, the M3, the M4. They revealed this technology recently, and production began in July. And hey, they're looking to kind of pre-ignite the charge. It's basically for ignition, but hey, it's a cool system. I know, in the case of like nitro engines in drag racing, they use 2 cylinders because they have such
Right.
a volume of fuel. They have to make sure it stays lit because if it doesn't, it will, hydraulic the engine. They're pumping so much fuel through. Matter of fact, they even had one that had 3 cylinders, 3 spark plugs per cylinder. They went away from that because it needed 3 magnetos, and it was ridiculous. But anyway, what do you think of this? Um, the horsepower is not
It's
going to increase. It's more for emissions. It's a pre-chamber
it's
ignition
yeah,
type of
it's
system.
more for admissions, and it's very very similar to the old Honda CVCC, controlled vortex combustion chamber, um, years ago. And the idea is to use that second spark plug to sort of pre-ignite the mixture so that the flame front just propagates across the combustion chamber evenly, and at a very much more even temperature, and it just makes everything run better and smoother. And the exhaust gas temperature is a little bit lower. It's
Hmm.
plenty high,
Yeah,
but it's a little bit lower, and it makes the engine run just nicer, smoother.
yeah. They say it's not increasing horsepower. It can increase, and they call the system M-Ignite, by the way. It improves efficiency, throttle response, and emissions performance. They're trying to hit the Euro 7 compliance while extending the life of combustion powered BMW M cars. But
Yeah,
as you say, decreasing the exhaust temperature is helpful. And, I'm sure spark plug manufacturers hope to see this catch on
oh
across
sure.
the industry.
Yeah, I suspect these spark plugs probably cost $40 a piece, but compared to the car, it's minuscule. Anyway, it's a good system. It's a nice way to approach what otherwise can be a nuisance.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a good way, I think, to meet that emissions standard without completely redesigning the engine,
Yeah,
and it has other benefits as well. While we're talking about engines, Audi is fighting to save its 5-cylinder engine. Um, I guess that's the only people I know. Other people that made a 5-cylinder were Saab, and that's long gone, right?
yep, that's gone.
So this is the only 5-cylinder engine left, I would imagine, in the world. Is that too big a statement?
Yeah, Chevy doesn't make theirs anymore. Other than diesels, I think, yeah, this is it.
Yeah, Chevy made
Uh,
it. It went into Colorado, didn't it? It was Colorado and Canyon for a while.
Yeah.
But that's kind of long gone. So it's a turbo 5-cylinder. The current RS3 Competition Limited has been viewed as the platform for a possible farewell to the 5-cylinder engine, which is the current 8Y generation RS3. And their CEO has previously questioned whether Audi could justify the investment required to make the engine, only going into one platform, especially with these new EU7 regulations, which we were just talking about. Why BMW added that extra set of spark plugs. Well, they want to keep it, and of course, everything is a financial formula in building this.
That's it.
One situation they're talking about is adding it to the Golf R, offering that in the Golf R, because many people, while they love the Golf R and the all-wheel drive and the added performance, they just think for the price, it should have more performance.
Yeah, well, this is a great way to get it. It's instead of more engineering on the Golf R's engine, grab the Audi engine, throw it in there, and you've got yourself a winning combination.
Yeah.
Little more money, maybe, but the whole idea is to keep the production of that engine going, because there aren't enough Audis to meet the standards of the people with the money inside the corporation.
Right.
Cost benefit analysis
Yes.
is what they call it.
Yes, yes. And people like the 5-cylinder. It's got a unique firing order and exhaust note, and it was fitted, of course, to the legendary 5-cylinder Rally and Quattro cars of the past. Yep. So it is a big part of their history. I don't know. I think it might be a good idea, because I hear that all the time. We love the Golf R, but it's really not different enough, even though it has all-wheel drive, than the GTI to justify the price upgrade. What does it have now? I think it currently has 300 and something horsepower. I'm not.
It's not much over that. You're right. I've heard from just a couple people I've known or met with the Golf R that they say, I'd kind of like to have a little more horsepower.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
here you go.
Here's
add
a chance.
Cylinder.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, and I assume it'll fit.
We'll make it fit.
They'll make it fit. That's
get your
right.
torch. Get your cutting tools out. So.
Oh yeah, I could make it fit. The question is, you want the engineers at the factory to do this.
Yes, and make it
because they know how to.
Yes.
They can make it fit. They can cool it.
Right.
They can make sure all the accessories work.
Yes.
Don't let your buddy Ralph down the street
with the big hammer
open up his garage and
start making
make one fit.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, here's some good news. If you're thinking about buying an F-150 Raptor, which I think, even with a high price, is an incredible deal for a factory-engineered F-150 truck, Ford is lowering the entry point of the F-150 Raptor lineup for 2027, but the less expensive price comes by removing some equipment from the standard truck. So the article talks about the regular 2026 F-150 lineup begins with the XL for $37,290, while the current Raptor starts at $79,005 before destination. It is significant because Raptor's pricing has been moved dramatically upward since the truck first appeared. Ford isn't abandoning the Raptor's core formula. They might just be decontenting some things from it. but the all the good stuff, the Fox shocks and the big tires and all that would remain. What do you think?
Well, my question is, what are they taking out? I mean, I would if I was looking for this, I'd run out and get one at 37. But
Well, that's
are
just
they
the
taking
XL.
out?
That's just the
Oh, yeah,
base.
that's the XL.
That's the
But are
base.
they taking out the heated seats? Are they taking out the nav system? Are they taking out power windows? What are they taking out? And if it's stuff that I really want, then I'm kind of stuck spending the money. But I I would assume they're making the decision to take out stuff like a um, moonroof.
Yeah,
Who cares? Who
yeah.
cares?
And you
A
could still
power
get it.
tailgate, stuff that you just don't really need.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, one thing that they might be doing with Ford trucks is they may build a Bronco pickup to take on the Jeep Gladiator. Um, Now, this I think is a given. I have to say, I was just out in Utah, and Broncos are everywhere. There's many more
Yeah,
Broncos than Wranglers. They were literally everywhere. Everything from Sasquatch
it's
big
amazing.
tire versions to regular size tire versions. I mean, I every like third or fourth car was a Bronco, so it is a
Hmm.
hit. So this report comes to us from Automotive News. It cites people familiar with Ford's future production plans, and we actually have some more insight into that because apparently there was a dealer meeting and dealers get to see what's going to be offered in the future. But so the question is, would this hurt the Ranger, the midsize market? But I think they're just going to I think they're going to do it. We set our digital friend that we have on staff here to say, what would a
There
Bronco
you go.
pickup look like? And I actually think it would look pretty darn good. Um,
Yeah,
it's, I think they will do this. I think they will also, they might make a version that you can add campers onto for overlanding, maybe without the bed in the back, just theorizing. Um, I think this would really fill a missing niche in their lineup and certainly be a more than worthy competitor to the Jeep Gladiator. Um, you and I have talked about it. Jeep Wrangler sales are taking a back seat to Ford Bronco sales.
yeah. Well, they are partly because of Wranglers cost a lot. The Gladiator's very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but frankly, yes. By this picture, once again, is not a Ford picture. This
No,
is,
it's our
uh,
digital
but
on staff digital artist.
but but I
We'll put
think I think it's probably pretty close to the mark. But as long as it offers all the little goodies that the Gladiator offers, then it's just going to just kill in the market.
Well, it does, and it's bigger. Let's face it, the Bronco is bigger than the Wrangler or the Gladiator, and I think people like that. Um, I think it's a newer design. It's a more sophisticated platform, and I just think, how about this? How about a two-door version of it? Because Bronco full
Yeah.
size Broncos available in two door. I saw a lot of them when I was out in Utah. There's nothing like that on the market, right? I don't think so.
No. No.
So
No. This is one for the Ford marketing people to jump on.
yes. Now, while we're on Bronco, let's talk about another story that came out that Lincoln is looking at making a Bronco based vehicle to take kind of be a more affordable G Wagon, G-Wagon alternative. We set our digital friend up for that, and they came up with a kind of a Bronco-based vehicle. This could arrive in 2029. Once again, this is just a digital rendering. We don't know what it's going to look like, but it'll give you an idea. And could be set at $70,000. It's not confirmed by anyone, but this seems to make sense to me. Boom, you have another high-end vehicle to sell, and it's just a more luxurious Bronco, even beyond the Filson version, which, of course, is their most luxurious version. What do you think about that?
Again, this makes a lot of sense. They do this with most of the products. Ford does it, GM, and other companies. And if you can put a Lincoln out with all of the Lincoln-ness of it,
yeah,
why not? Because there are people that are just love Lincolns, love the materials, love the ride.
They want
And
that G-Wagon luxury, that
absolutely
G-Wagon, but maybe they don't want the $150,000 or more price tag.
Yeah, exactly. 70,000 is a much more affordable, and dealers everywhere across the country. So, it wouldn't suffer anything at the Ford level because it's a Lincoln.
Yeah.
And I just think that why shouldn't you do this? You do this with your other models.
Right.
Why not?
Yeah, yeah, and Lincoln needs they need vehicles, and this is a great way for them to get into it. There was a report that they're going to be moving away from Chinese production of some of their models, but I believe they have up until 2030 to do so. I think right now the Lincoln brand needs more vehicles and needs more excitement in it, and I think this is a way to do it.
This is a good way.
How big is that G-Wagon-esque market? I don't know. I mean, how many people want a super capable off-road vehicle that is luxurious? Apparently they exist. I remember when we did the Bronco Filson story, I was like, how many people?
A lot. Yeah.
Like, I don't want a hose out interior. They want very high-end leather seats and I don't know. It's probably out there, but let us know in the comments. Would you buy a very high-end Lincoln version of the Ford Bronco? Lots of luxury, lots of interior comfort, but lots of off-road capability as well.
And what they don't want to make, I'm speaking for them, is a Lincoln pickup truck. Some years
like
ago,
the Blackwood, yes,
the black that was a failure.
Yes,
but of course it is. I mean, people with that at that socioeconomic level don't want a luxury pickup truck. Period.
So, Les, while we're on Ford and potential new models, this has come out from a Car Buzz article that Ford dealers are attending a private meeting in Las Vegas and are being shown prototypes of a four-door Mustang. Now, here we go again. Remember the Mustang Mach-E? It's not a Mustang, if it's got four doors. Ford wants to get back into the sedan market. This is a great way to do it. They were apparently shown an actual prototype, although Ford prohibited camera phones, so no photographs exist of it. Dealers described it as sort of a Ford version of a Porsche Panamera. And Ford is, doing more than just stretching the current Mustang and adding two doors. It appears to be aiming for a sporty fastback style sedan. Now, we don't have any pictures of that, but our on-staff digital friend artist
Yes, yes.
came up with this. And I think if that was a four-door Mustang, it would be a hit. What do you think?
I would buy one of these in a second. I, First of all, it just looks great. Second, it's a Mustang, and
Exactly.
and and third, it's not a Porsche. You don't have to play with all of the expenses of that. You got Ford dealers all over the country. I'm sure it wouldn't be terribly priced.
Well, we have a little bit
Uh,
on that. Ford is saying they want to start the price below $40,000.
okay.
So their EcoBoost Coupe currently, right now, starts about $35,000, including destination. So you're looking at a $5,000 bump. The proposed timing is 2028, and Ford filed a trademark for the name Mach 4 in February of 2025.
Aha.
What do you think of that?
Aha. Well, I'd say they're definitely going to make it. And it's probably going to look very similar to this great piece of artwork we're looking at.
Yes, which this is
And
not the actual vehicle. It is so good it could
no,
look like the
this,
actual
but
vehicle.
it's well, it's been drawn after the comments that Ford made, how they want it to look like or similar to,
Yes.
and it's obviously a Mustang, front and back.
Yeah.
Which and just think about it. Think about the legacy of the Mustang. So they have to do it. They just have to do it.
Well, once again, it's a quick way to get back into the sedan world. Let's look
Yep.
at it. Camaro's coming back. Everything we have, Intel on it says it's going to be a four-door. At least it will be a four-door. Who knows? It might be offered
Hmm.
in a two-door as well. We have the Charger back as both a two-door and a four-door. So why not? Mustang wants to play, and Ford wants to play in all of these areas. Uh, just another fun thing. Uh, what if the Mustang four door becomes a police car? It would look quite nice as a police car,
It
and I'm
does.
sure we have that. Of course, the uh, Chargers of the past were four door police cars, and
Hmm.
so I think we could definitely see this, and I could definitely see it as a pursuit vehicle as well. And once again,
Absolutely.
our digital friend artist created this for us, which I think is actually pretty darn good, don't you? It's even got
This
the
is
5 liter badge on it.
absolutely.
It
Yeah. It's just this needs to be built. It really
yes,
does.
yes, and I think it will be. I think
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Ford is going to go ahead with all of those things: the Bronco pickup, the four-door Mustang, and the Lincoln. High end Bronco based vehicle. They're all no brainers. I think they're safe
Yeah.
bets, and
I'm
they would.
sure every one of their dealers at this meeting said, "You're crazy if you don't build it."
We'll sell them. Yeah, we'll sell them.
Yeah, we'll sell them.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, so we talked about a four-door Mustang. You and I agree that would be cool. Over at Stellantis, they're showing off some concepts of their own, including lowered high performance minivans. I think this Pacifica looks pretty good lowered down.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the new front end on that. Two custom Pacifica concepts. They reimagined minivan practicality for more lifestyles. They showed these concepts at Roadkill Nights, powered by Dodge in Pontiac, Michigan. And yeah, I think they're kind of cool. There were two different factory models, and both built around the 2027 Chrysler Pacifica. a limited all-wheel drive with the S appearance package, and they amplified the blacked-out details. That seems to be the most buildable one. And then they had a red van culture concept that had bespoke VIS wheels and satin wrap. What do you think? Is there a market for these performance minivans?
Yeah, I think so. I think the minivan market is growing, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming back. I believe, it's lost its uh, I've given up
Stigma.
on life image from the 90s.
Yes.
But that being said, as it's coming back, people that are buying them still want some pizzazz.
Mm-hmm.
And what's better than a performance minivan? It's very much like having a performance SUV, and those are selling very well. So why not?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And they even since it is an all-wheel vehicle, they even showed at the New York Auto Show a concept where it was more of a ruggedized minivan, raised up a
Hmm.
little bit. They call them soft rotors, but it had like a little bit of an edge to it, bigger tires, a slight lift. Obviously, you're not going to take it off on the Moab trails. But reimagining these things and special editions, I mean, that is a huge moneymaker for people, right?
It is. It is. And yet you get, I don't know the numbers, but I'm sure that the numbers fit the business plan. So why not?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, also over at Chrysler, another brand that needs more product, we have some developing news. These could be 2029 models. They are looking at two sub $30,000 models, both the Arrow and the Arrow Cross. Uh, the price tags will be under $30,000 and two different body configurations. Arrow Cross positioned as the crossover, and then the Arrow as a more of a typical sedan. Um, these would potentially be, they have not talked about the powertrain, but they would be potentially affordable EVs. Once again, keeping with that thought of 30,000 and below starting price for entry level
Yep.
EVs. Uh, what do you think? I mean, it makes sense. Affordability
Well,
and affordable
it does make
vehicles
yeah,
are
it
catching
does
on.
make sense. It brings back the Arrow name from the 70s,
Yep.
and if even if it's not an EV, it could be a little hybrid.
Right.
But they need product. The plan here is a product that the average person can afford.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it has to sell. It just does.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to sell. Obviously, they're going to leverage one of their global platforms to build this on.
Sure.
Uh, and Motor Trend, who brought this article up, said basically it's really framed around affordability. We're seeing this at Ford with their Fathom pickup truck and the universal platform that they're coming out. A lot of manufacturers are talking about affordability. We talked earlier about the EV3 from Kia. I mean, affordability is now comes in under $50,000,
Yes. Well, but
or 30, starting at
that's
30, going to 40, let's say, right?
good note. It's good news. It's good news. It was going up so fast
Yep.
for so long that we kept saying, they can't continue this. It's people are running out of money.
Yeah, exactly. And they're paying for vehicles and going upside down in them.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh boy. Yeah.
and then adding that on and buying a new vehicle, and then the problem gets magnified and kind of kicked down the road, right?
Yeah, but you can only kick it so long before it becomes unsustainable, and then you start seeing bankruptcies being filed,
Yes.
and we don't want that. Nobody wants that.
Hey, let's talk about an important new vehicle from Mercedes, and that is the new Mercedes C-Class. It is combustion engine powered with the most comprehensive technological upgrade in the history of the model series. This is, to me, C classes are the bread and butter of the Mercedes
Yes,
line. It is the best selling sedan model family, and it has a lot of new technology in it. Of course, it has, as they say, the sporty elegance redefined, sculptured front fascia, new contour lighting, illuminated central Mercedes-Benz star, welcome home, two new colors, three new trim elements, the most powerful and agile high-tech electrified production engine. So these are hybrids. It's they didn't take huge chances with the design of this because it is a bread and butter model. But they have a state of the art 2-liter turbocharged engine. It's the second generation integrated starter generator, or as they call it, the ISG 2.0. And it supports combustion engines at lower engine speeds, up to 23 horsepower. It is a mild hybrid, basically. The 48-volt electrical system also enables functions as coasting and recuperation to help maximize efficiency. The engine produces 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. They've gone a little bit less screen oriented, which I know looking at certain shots you'd say, no, what are you talking about? But for Mercedes, not having a screen over where the passenger sits is
yeah,
kind of toning it down a bit, right?
they have toned it down a little bit. There are some buttons. They've still got the mood lighting,
Yes.
but it is slick. The interior is handsome.
Yes.
It looks very well designed. It's all central to the driver.
Yes.
The passenger only has to worry about the air conditioning duct and the glove compartment. No, it's. I think they're going the right way, and the lighting outside is, it's very interesting. That
Triangle.
several variations of the star.
Yes. Yes. Now,
It's
this
cool.
engine also has a new electric auxiliary compressor. It sounds like you're inflating your tires, but that's not
It
what it's
does.
about. It helps improve performance and responsiveness even at lower engine speeds. It's powered by the 48-volt electrical system. The electric auxiliary compressor, or supercharger as we would know it, spools up within milliseconds and complements the exhaust gas turbocharger to ensure linear power delivery and powerful acceleration. Uh, and that engine, as I said, has 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. Thanks to an overboost function that can be repeatedly activated, the engine delivers an additional 27 horsepower for about 20 seconds. So there you go.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
Complicated, very complicated,
And so
but
German. Yes.
and so very German. But the fact is, you would feel it.
You would feel it. You would definitely feel that, and I think it would be fun as well. So there you have it, the new C-Class from Mercedes. But let's talk about something even more involved and even more advanced. Gordon Murray revealed the S1. This is his new supercar. It is a
Yeah.
V12 manual supercar. And if I know you have been saying you want something that not everyone else has, Les.
Well, yes.
Only
I
64 of these are going to be made. Only
Oh well,
64.
yes, and I'm sure it's going to be over $50,000. Um,
Yeah, yes, this would not be entry
ma-
level.
many times over, but the fact is, it's a built-in uh, classic,
Yes.
as these things always are,
Now,
and blisteringly fast.
yes, it has a 4.2 liter V12 engine. So think about that. Only 4.2 liters, not huge, but V12, right? You sit
Right.
in the center to drive this. I believe one of the Beatles bought this, and they had all three Beatles, remaining Beatles, one on either side. Like, and one was
Yeah.
I forget
Yeah.
who owned it, which one of them owned it, but they commented that this was an interesting way to
I think
drive
it
with,
was George who bought it.
and
Um,
sat in the center and had Paul and Ringo
yeah.
on the other sides, each side of them. Um, yeah, and get this, it has a real manual gearbox.
Yes. They Gordon Murray, just said it's just got to be a manual.
Six-speed manual.
Uh, it's got to be something that people want to drive, feel all of the sounds and the feel and the personality of a manual as you're taking it through the turns along the California uh, coastal highway or the Blue Ridge Mountains or
Yeah.
um, man. Um, I will never drive one of these because I don't have that kind of money.
I don't. I just wonder if they're all sold already for you know. I love this. The engine is paired with a six-speed manual gearbox featuring a touring six-gear as standard. I would imagine that means overdrive. And I love how this is written in the release. A new, straighter gearbox cable routing helps deliver the precise rifle bolt shift feel that remains
Yes.
central to the car's physical connection between the driver and machine. If you recall, um, a lot of people said, why doesn't the C8 Corvette have a manual shifter? And it was said we'd have to do it with cables and that, and it would be sloppy and not the best.
Yeah.
Um, but here, this is a rifle bolt feel.
And of course, what I like their wording here is the new engine develops 690 horsepower and a shrieking 12,100 RPM. I'll say that's that is a good word for it, and it has 500 newton meters of torque, which is about 460. 81% of which is available as low as 2,500 RPM.
Wow. Okay. So
This thing, well, you can just start off in fifth gear, sixth gear.
imagine using that rifle bolt shifter to take it right up
Oh
to the
boy,
12,000.
yeah,
Now
jeez,
there's a person that is well heeled. They buy one of 64 and they're like, let me see what this does when
yeah,
I power shift it at
yeah,
12,000 RPM.
that's right. Listen to this.
Wow. Hold my Chardonnay.
Woo.
Well, if you want
Yeah,
performance but something a little bit more affordable, we can talk about the Super Bee, which was revealed recently by Stellantis. That is a good-looking vehicle, and it certainly pulls on the heritage of Mopar, doesn't it?
it does. Notwithstanding the color, which I won't comment on it.
Well, that certainly fits in with Mopars of the past, doesn't
Oh, I know. It's just it's a color.
it? Not your favorite, but certainly one that
Yeah.
you know. Um, this was revealed at Roadkill Nights, the Woodward Dream Cruise display. They've done a bunch of things, the Super Bee being the big one. It's a 600 horsepower Dodge Charger Super Bee Launch Edition. But they also showed things like the Durango RT 392 smokescreen concept. They have a new red oxide exterior color for the Dodge Charger as well. And they just keep it going.
Yeah.
It is special editions and endless special editions. You can get it in the reverse there, I guess, with black sides and the rest of it in yellow. I'm not just a fan of that color either, but 6-pack engine power. Is the name of the game until the Hemi returns, but it will. Yeah, it's another special edition from the
That's
folks
right.
at Dodge.
It's fits right in there with their heritage. I'm sure it'll be popular.
But you're not buying the yellow. You're just not.
Well, no, I don't need one. You know, I I've got enough cars with my friend down in Woodbridge, Virginia.
Yes, yes, and it's cool stuff. It's cool stuff. Uh,
Yeah,
I just I'm still amazed at the amount of hot rods that are coming out, and high
yeah.
horsepower. We talked about everything from 1,000 horsepower electric three-row SUV to the brand new Corvette Grand Sport X with 721. It's like it's become a common thing now, right? It's become like
It's There are probably 10 times as many performance cars today as there were the height of the muscle car era,
hmm
every one of which could outrun those muscle cars.
hmm that's true
Uh, so there's just no shortage of them. If you want to go fast, you can do it
in
on
many
the
different
cheap.
ways. Yeah,
You could do it modest amount of money. You can do it for a whole lot of money.
yeah, exactly.
Um, but it's just great.
Well, let's go over to the folks at Land Rover. This is kind of big news. Jaguar Land Rover's moving towards U.S. production for future Defender branded vehicles as it tries to get around tariffs and expand into what it considers the most important growth market for JLR and Stellantis. And the current Defender, which is known as the L663 Defender, launched in 2020, built in Slovakia and imported into the United States, and that leaves it exposed to
That
tariffs.
costs money.
Yeah.
That costs money.
The exact point was we never localize into a local plant in U.S. efficiency at 30,000 units or even 50,000 units. So that's why they haven't done it. But they are going to look at using a Stellantis plant in Belvidere, Illinois. It's one of them that, that might be one where they build it. There is another Stellantis plant with additional capacity, and Warren is in Warren. Is that Warren Truck? I guess
Warren Truck, yeah.
yeah, in Michigan. So there's also the Stellantis plant in Brampton, Ontario, that's been sitting idle after the Charger, Challenger, and Chrysler 300 production ended in 2023. But of course, the article we're looking at here says that the Canada hadn't solved its tariff problem. I believe they have now.
Yes.
So, we're going to see this built at least closer than it has been in the past, either in Canada or in the U.S. It'll be interesting to see where it ends up, right?
I I predict it'll be Warren Truck in Michigan. First of all, it's a truck factory.
Okay.
And Land Rover is closer to a truck than it is a sedan.
Mm-hmm.
And why not? This would be just great. It would be great for Michigan. It would certainly be great for the plant,
Yeah.
and all of those people. And there are, well, we have 40% of the world's millionaires here, all of which seem to want a Land Rover.
Yeah.
Uh, it's
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. They're pretty nice.
nothing wrong with that. No.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting story there. Here's another thing. You and I have not talked about hydrogen in a while, but the JCB land speed record people have been talking about it. And I was
Yeah.
just I was right near the Salt Flats, and I wondered, I think I had just missed Speed Week. But there's a new hydrogen record. The hydrogen powered JCB Hydromax set the hydrogen powered record 406.320 miles per hour. So 406.320. It's a new world land speed record for hydrogen powered vehicles, driven by Wing Commander Andy Green, OBE. This is a twin engine 32-foot car. The two runs required under FIA rules, one in each direction within an hour, and they comfortably beat the previous hydrogen internal combustion benchmark of 185.5. They didn't beat it, they just evaporated that.
Yeah.
What do you think? Pretty cool, right?
Well, this is very cool. It's very exciting. I've been to Bonneville once, and it is really hot there.
Yeah, there's
It's
heat coming from
it,
all angles.
it
Yes.
is very, very dry. You're blind if you don't have really good sunglasses, and yeah, it is not a smooth surface. It's smooth-ish. And these high speed things are actually on metal tires. They're not on rubber tires.
Right.
So it's a tribute to the engineers, a tremendous tribute to the engineers and to the driver, who they generally don't steer more than 1 or 2 degrees.
Because you'll be on your
More than
side.
that, and you're just going to flip over.
Yes. Well, of course,
And
Andy Green, who drove this, is also the fastest man on Earth at 763.035 miles an hour, breaking the sound barrier.
yep,
That was done back in August of 2006. But kind of cool to bring hydrogen into the forefront by doing this. And they certainly had the vehicle to do it. If the last one was 185 and you
yeah,
406, it's pretty much a given. And you hire the right driver. It's pretty much a
you
given.
have to. That's right. You got to really make this thing right in every way, and you got to have a driver who is just as cool and focused as any human can be.
Yes. They also have the JCB Fast Track, which became the world's fastest tractor at 135.19 miles an hour in 2019. And they also had a JCB GT set a record set with a backhoe loader at 72.58 miles an hour.
Who, who'd have thunk?
Who? Let's try to get the least aerodynamic
Yeah.
model of vehicle that we can, because I
Yes.
can't think of anything. Maybe a box truck or something would be even worse. I don't know.
It's just, think about going 76 miles an hour in a backhoe.
Yes, they're typically bouncing back and forth when they're on
Oh,
the road.
man.
And yeah, I'm sure it was hot rod. People will hot rod anything. That's what I say. They
Oh,
will
yeah.
hot rod
Yeah, they will.
anything.
They will.
A shopping cart. So, well, it's come time to talk about Toyota. You and I have talked a lot about their 3.4-liter twin-turbo V6s having a lot of problems because of manufacturing
Yep.
uh, debris left behind in the engine. And this is a big story for Toyota because they've always been known for rock-solid reliability, 200,000 plus, no problem. But this has really become a problem. Now, obviously, if this is a reoccurring problem and these engines were manufactured in a way that they got, some kind of debris in them when they were built, you have to know what you're doing. Are you going to replace the engine? Is it repairable?
Right.
So you need a diagnostic uh, method to determine this, right?
Well, you do because prior to this, the only two ways to diagnose it. One is listen to it, and if
It
it's
might not
making
run.
so much noise, replace it. And the other is to just
Take it out.
assume it's take it apart and prove
Put another
that
engine in.
it's busted. And both of obviously taking it apart is not something you want to pay the dealer to do. It's
No, it's
bad
not worth
enough.
it. Yeah.
No, it's not. It costs a lot of money in people time
You and
to
I have
take an engine apart.
you and I watched that video online of them pulling it apart, and these were
Yeah,
top mechanics, and it took them a long time to do it, and they said it
it
would
take
be
yeah
hard to repair it because you could
with
wash it
yes
out
with
and that, but it's too
just
much.
measuring all of it. So Toyota has come up with a new procedure officially known as V35A crank bearing inspection.
Okay. You need
And the
special
heart,
tools for that, right? Don't you?
you need a special tool for this, which is a hammer. Now, which I am calling the Jeremy Clarkson tool, because
That's right.
because in Top Gear he always used a hammer for anything.
Yes.
Um, okay, so come on, that can't be real. Yes, it is.
They
It's
hit it with a hammer. I mean,
you hit it.
obviously, don't just
Yes.
smash it with a hammer because you're mad at it, but
Well,
this is an actual procedure, right?
yes. This is a custom made plastic hammer,
Mm-hmm.
which is part of this inspection system, which you might expect is highly computerized.
Mm-hmm.
It has all sorts of sensors on it because what the what you're listening for, it's a system that wants to listen to the inside of the engine. And what are you listening for? You're listening for resonant frequency of the main bearing, number one main bearing. If it's running correct, there's a certain frequency or harmonics that will be there. If it's not running correct, then you can assess what's going on. Is there another resonant frequency that shouldn't be there? But you need to create something to cause that resonant frequency. It's like a doctor uh, hitting your
With the
knee
with
with
the
a
rubber
little
hammer.
hammer. He's not seeing what the hammer, listening to the hammer. He's just looking for some kind of an autonomic nerve
Response.
response,
Right.
like your little jerk in your leg, whatever. So that's what this hammer's doing. The system is all set up. It's listening to the engine, and then you tap it with the hammer. Think of it like a tuning fork,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a resonant frequency I don't want because that means there's wear,
In the main bearing, number one.
unacceptable wear on that number one bearing. You don't
Right.
care about the other bearings because they're going to follow suit. Uh, so once you do that, then it's a go no go situation. This engine has to be replaced. Uh, we can't, we can tear it apart, and all that we're going to
It's
do
not
is
worth
find
it
out
to
this is
rebuild.
the problem.
Yeah.
So it's a smart way to do it. It's anyone can be trained to do it, and it saves an enormous amount of labor time to check these things out because you don't have to pull the engines out
No, you just got to drop the
yet.
pan, I guess, and
Yeah,
then put the accelerometer on the engine and all the other
right,
things. But
right.
they also say this is something Toyota told Road and Track. They confirmed that if the test is inconclusive, they just go ahead and replace the engine. They're not going to
Right,
say like,
right.
well, it didn't seem bad, but it sounds like this is a good way to test it. I imagine this can be used for other engines, right? Or is there a certain
Oh, sure.
frequency for this engine? Or
Yeah, I mean, you would have to know from the engineering specs of the other engines what frequencies, what are the normal frequencies of the crankshaft, because every engine has vibration. You don't feel it. They're
right?
micro vibrations, but just think about the pistons up and down pounding. You can't get rid of these yeah, almost undetectable vibrations, but you can put instruments on there to detect them, and then set up a a permanent curve in the computer that says this is what we designed, this is what it's supposed to be.
Now,
If it changes, then we got to look at it.
now this is not common, or is it? Is this a common way that mechanics would check bearings? Or is
No,
this is
no,
something engineers would do at a Toyota plant?
right. I mean, engineers have to come up with this. They could build a measuring device that a highly trained mechanic does use to get the result. But
You don't have to take the
under
bearing
ordinary
apart.
the average shop isn't doing that. In fact, about the only thing the average shop ever does is a good mechanic can put on a stethoscope and listen to the engine, and he can
Right.
tell that something might be is making noise in there that shouldn't.
Yeah.
But
So
this is really,
basically, all of these vehicles have to be brought back and have this test.
yeah, every one of them has to be tested. Yeah,
And it's not tearing it down, but you got to put it up on the lift. You got to drop the oil, the pan,
yeah.
um, and hook this test up. It's not something, it's not like a software upgrade. It's gonna
This is
take a
no,
couple
this
hours to
is
do that, even for a mechanic with a
this is
lift.
yeah, it's not trivial. First thing they do is empty the oil. If there's metal in the oil, then they
Well,
don't have
then
to go any
it's
further.
no, it's
It's-
shot. If you
but
yeah, if you get the
yeah,
chunky version of your oil, then it's a bad problem.
that's it. Then say goodbye to the engine. What a shame.
Yeah, yeah, and once again, bringing our call back to that BMW thing, even if it tests okay, and it's your vehicle, you're going to be like, well, you know, I
Right.
feel like I don't feel good about it. Like, what if it's bad? You know,
Yeah.
I think most
Um,
people will sell their vehicle, just to say, uh, I don't feel good about it. But I don't know. It's not a good thing to spend,
this
$50,000, and then it's like, well, I might have a bad engine, and
yeah.
it's
Well, I can tell you right now that Kia is probably developing the same test for the engines that they've been replacing,
yeah. Yeah, we still
because
don't know
at
what
least
caused this, because it seems like
it
we've been
was
building engines for like 100 years, and
yeah, we pretty well know how to do it. But this was machining debris, micro debris that wasn't caught in the cleaning processes after the milling. And you can't even see the debris,
right,
but it's there, and it gets pumped in the oil, and it starts destroying the bearing inserts,
right. And
and that's it. The
game
engine's
over.
dead.
It's junk. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
But I guess certainly at Kia and at Toyota and other companies, they're developing much more rigid standards of processing when you're building an engine, cleaning it.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, whatever they do.
Yeah, you can't pick a dirty rag up off a floor and say, "Yeah, yeah, here, I'll wipe it off."
Well, I mean that's that's what I've done in, in the past.
Wow.
But
Interesting.
just a whole bunch of Varsol and just spray it and clean all the stuff. But these engines, the engines that I've worked on in the past were much more forgiving than these are.
Yes, you look at these engines and the oil passages and that it's incredibly
Yeah,
incredibly complex. I was blown away tearing them
yeah.
down, how complex they are, and all the little oil
Uh,
orifices and that. I was like, wow, maybe we should make engines a little bit less complex somehow. I don't know.
well, but it's all about emissions. It's all about extracting all this power that they're getting today
Out of a four
with
cylinder
very little
or V6.
um, cubic inches or liters,
Yeah,
and it's got to be tight. It's like a Formula One engine. It's just the closest 10,000th of an inch.
right. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Cruise Control Motoring. Don't forget to give us a like, a follow, a subscribe. It's all good and it helps us out. It's time for me to say I'm Fred Staub.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road.